folks, welcome to Myers Metal Detectors, located in sunny Tampa, Florida, where we sell nothing but fun and adventures, treasure hunting gear, and anything you can imagine for metal detecting. Give us a call, 813-237-1939. Happy hunting and dig deeper.
Live from sunny Florida, it's Treasure Talk.
Welcome, friends.
Welcome indeed.
So, Jeff, I couldn't see it on Facebook, so I don't know if we're...
No, it's not. It's the guy. I'm going to have to go in and try to do something.
Yes.
Pete Zuckerberg.
Yes, I think that's what it is. But, yeah, we'll have to just make sure we're on...
I mean, it'll go to a page.
But
it won't go to a group anymore. That's them messing with us, you know?
Yeah, doesn't make any sense, but we'll persevere anyway, for sure.
Yeah.
And we got an exciting show tonight, as always.
Yeah, it's going to be a little different, but I think it's going to be different in a very good way.
Oh yeah, people are interested in the subject matter, and like when we had Butch on here, people like he has authors write for his magazine, and they like to have that formatted. So, you know, you could advertise your club or different things on the magazine. So, yeah, Jocelyn just told me we've got somebody on from England, but we've got them on from all over the world. Because
yep, Angie from England, been on a number of times.
Yes, we have them from all over the world. But anyway, people I think, are really interested in becoming authors and, you know, telling the story about what we're doing. So I just excited about today's show for sure.
Yep, and we've got a list of very in-depth questions for our guests that and I think you all will find interesting. And if you do have questions, get them in the chat, and we'll do our best to get them asked and answered.
Yes, as always, we've got Jeff and I and Jocelyn in the other room there. And if you got a question, put it in the comments there. So hopefully we'll get them. We'll see them. One of us three will see it, and we'll get it asked and answered if at all possible.
Yes, indeed.
But I guess I better do the housekeeping real quick.
Yes, you best.
As always, today's show is brought to you by your friends at Myers Metal Detectors, where we sell fun and adventure. And there's a lot of sales going on right now. Speaking of adventure, if you're interested in a Naka product or a MindLab product, we've got some excellent deals right now. So just call me at the shop for sure tomorrow. And Joe Vizzi has a comment. I'm writing a book about the adventures at Myers Metal Detectors. He could do that because he gets a firsthand witness of it. But let me keep going with my housekeeping. Where did I leave off at? The views and thoughts and opinions expressed here by the Treasure Talk guest and member belong solely to the guest and member, not necessarily to Phil Myers, Jocelyn Myers, Myers Metal Detectors, or Jeff Monin.
True.
We're so busy for that matter, too.
Well, ain't that the truth?
And the most important part of the Treasure Talk is our purpose, and that's to educate our members in a fun, informative manner. And I think that's what we do that's what we strive for every day, and that's what we do every Monday night for sure. Isn't it, Jeff?
That's right, it is. And speaking of Big Papi, Joe Vizzi, the title of the book he's going to write is Zazich.
Zazich. Yes.
That's it.
That's funny.
Zazich.
Right. Yeah, so we've got some excellent guests tonight, and we've had them on here before. We've got Fred, and he's written quite a few books.
Yeah.
And then we've got Terry. Terry's got his latest book. We have all these in the shop for sure.
Yep. And while we're just talking about that, before we get into things, because it's going to really zoom once we get into it, let's show them what's on special here.
Yeah, let's do that.
We got a little bit of a commercial.
Hey friends, Phil Myers here from Myers Metal Detectors, and I'm going to show you some books from some of my favorite authors. Fred Bank here, we have all three of his books, and when you purchase his books, we got them on a special price on my website. I'll post that in the link. And then also, when you buy his three books, you do get, he gave me this PDF So we print this out, Treasure Coast Shipwrecks, so you have the locations of the shipwrecks too. So that's Fred Banks books. We've got those 3 there. We'll have them on a special price. You also get one of the famous Treasure Talk towels when you make that purchase. And then also my other favorite author is Terry Shannon. We have his complete collection of books. And we've got those on a special price on our website too. It includes his latest one, the Treasure Coast Treasures, printed in color. So Phil Myers, Myers Metal Detectors, happy hunting and dig deeper. Get it out. Hey,
I know.
There was a lot to say. And also want to remind folks that I didn't put it into commercial. I should have. When you buy one of their books, if you buy it off my website, put your t-shirt size in there because we're going to throw one of those in the box too. So you'll get loaded with swag for sure.
Yes, indeed. Yes, you will. And also, tonight's format, like I said, is going to be a little bit different. We been talking about doing this show for a while, and with both Terry and Fred being very, very prolific authors and writing some very, very good books, they've been through the trials and tribulations. And we think, and I think personally, Phil needs to write a book, and it called it Life at the Shop. That'd be a good title for it. But many of you out there could write a book and should write a book. And so hopefully you'll learn a little bit about it tonight, how to go about it, because these are very pointed questions. And we're going to delve right into it, the do's and the don'ts, stuff that'll make your life easier. Because if you wondered, you're going to find out about it tonight. So let's just get on with it, shall we? Philip?
Yeah, let's do it.
All righty. Well, let's bring them on right now. Is Terry Shannon and Fred Banke. There's Terry and there's Fred.
Hello, everybody.
Good evening, everybody.
So we had one comment from Rick T. Ricky T. You guys both know him. He says a lot of y'all should pay me not to write a book. He's quite a pretty good point there.
All right. Well, I got a list of questions, and I have a lot of my own too. So let's jump right into it. And folks, just a reminder, if you've got a different question, just get it typed in the comments so we can get it asked for sure. And I guess we'll start with you, Fred. And that was about your motivation for writing, because you've written 3 of them already. What was your motivation?
Well, with my first book, I was motivated because I was living down in West Palm Beach, and I would come up to the Treasure Coast on weekends, 1 or 2 weekends a month. And I really only knew of a couple of wrecks and a couple of beaches to go to. So I did a lot of research, and I bought some books with information, but most of the information was outdated. So I thought I could do a better job than this. So several years into the metal detecting, I finally started writing a book, and it took me probably 3 or 4 years to do the research and get that out. And what motivated me is I wanted to help people find the beaches and know what shipwrecks are on what beaches, and if there's bathrooms, if there's parking spaces, all the information they need to go to the beach.
Awesome.
Well, let's ask Terry the same question.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, mine was a little different. I started metal detecting, and I was in Minnesota before I come down to the Treasure Coast. And there's the Otter Tail River that I detected in, waded in the river, and I was finding all kinds of rings. And there was a site on the called FindMall on Facebook, or on the computer anyway. And I used to enter in that, and I got a lot of encouragement. And what I started doing is I started writing emails of my adventures, and I kept all those things. And people would say, you ought to write a book, you ought to write a book, and you ought to write a book. Well, then I come down to the Treasure Coast here, and it is such a wonderful place. It really is. And, a lot of the fun, I think, is sharing. And that's why I started my first book, and that's why I'm continuing to write it. Just, they're how-to stories and some stories about, my adventures in that. And I kind of fell into it. And it's a wonderful thing. Every one of you people out there that are listening tonight, you've got 1 or 2 books in you. All you have to do is get started.
Yep, and that's what we're hoping to, answer some of their questions tonight, and to let them know that they too can do it. Because a lot of people say, "Well, I can sit there and talk to you, but I don't think I could do a book." But maybe they could after tonight. Maybe they'll be ready to do a book.
All right. Well, we got a question here from Tim Anderson. I want to just jump in with this real quick. He says, "My question is for Terry. In your book, he talked about, oh boy, that goes too quick for me. Talked about the Superstition Mountains in Apache Junction, Arizona. I'd just like to know how you did, and did you find? Boy, it bounced around too quick for me. So,
years ago, my wife had surgery and she was going to be laid up for a while, and so we took our motorhome, or actually a camper at that time. And we ended up camping in Apache Junction, right at the base of the Superstition Mountain. And if you look at that mountain, there's a lost Dutchman's gold mine up there. And there's all kinds of stories and folklore about that. And I mean, I bought every book available, and that mountain was not that big. There's no question I could find it. And from there, I ended up down here on the Treasure Coast on another just camping trip. And I stopped at the McClarty Museum, and I seen all the pictures of that treasure, and that's where it started. Like, if they can do it, I can do it. Excuse me.
Yeah, and it looks like Dirty Paws has a comment there. Can you see it, Jeff?
Yeah. Did either of you have a ghostwriter? Dirty Paws Detecting wants to know.
That's a good one.
Go ahead, Fred.
I don't have a ghostwriter. I'll bang out these chapters one at a time and work at them that way. I plan the book out the best way I can, what I want to get across and everything, but I don't have a ghostwriter.
You have a Ghostbuster.
Yeah, that.
I don't have a ghostwriter either. It's these stories are strictly from my own. But years ago, I was working on a diesel generator up in Canada. And a Finlander come by and said, "Terry, you don't know what you're doing." And I looked at him and I said, "You're right, but I always know somebody that does." And what I did is I put together a group of people to help me. And I tell you, that's the greatest thing. There's so much stuff that I don't know that they do. And, we've got a team. And Fred is part of that team. He jumped on board, and he's made me look good several times. He's under a lot of pressure to do that,
Well, I'm just going to leave it there, Terry. I'm not even doing it. No, Philip, do me a favor, Phil.
Yes.
Tilt your camera down a little more.
Yeah, I have a hard time reading my comments, but I'll tip.
Well, your neck's got to go back so the trifocals will go up.
Yeah,
Either that or make it bigger print.
Yes, or lower my seat or do something. But when you guys write your books, how long does it take you typically to write one?
Go ahead, Fred. Okay, well, Fred said he worked on his for 3 years, and there's a big difference between a writer and a guy like me. I'm kind of a storyteller. And so it didn't take me long, because what I had done is over the years, I'd sent out these emails talking about my finds and my adventures and that stuff, and I saved them all. And all I had to do is kind of sort them out and then put them down and then organize them. And like I said, I had a group of people that really helped me. I've got, David Franklin, he designs my covers for me. And Jim Brower was the first guy. He formatted the books and helped me get it, organized and stuff like that. And then, what I would do is when I sent the book in to be published, I'd order some proof sets. I'd order 5, and then I'd give 4 of those to friends of mine, and they go through and point out all the mistakes. And there were many mistakes, and we correct them, and then make the corrections in it. So with me, it's a team effort. I provide the story, and I've got people that just really help. And everybody's got that kind of group if you just take advantage of it. Really,
well, the one gentleman that couldn't join us tonight, he had something come up. Jim McLaughlin, he does a proofreading for you.
Jim
correct?
Jim has been a tremendous asset. He's just a great guy, and he he laughs at me because I didn't really know what a punctuation or a comma was. I tell everybody when I had English in high school, that's when I met my wife, and I missed most of it. See, so it's her fault, really.
That's right.
But Jim has been, if I've got a good book out there, a lot of it is because of Fred and because of Jim.
The
Jim
proofreading is very important.
Jim will he'll invest easily 100 hours in a book, just reading it, going through it, and helping format it, and doing everything it needs. And he's just a great individual, and it's a shame he can't be here tonight. He's just a great asset.
Yes, he is. We enjoyed meeting him when we were down there. And now, speaking of formatting, let's cover that a little bit. That's one of the questions on our in-depth list. Well, let's just go down our list here, Phil, shall we? So it kind of flows.
So, I guess we're asking who will be your audience and who buys your book. That is
That's what you have to ask yourself, correct?
Who's
Because
gonna be your
before you
audience?
write a book, this is something you should ask yourself.
That's correct. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things out there, and there's a lot of. I had a fellow one time tell me that Florida down here has probably the most talent of any state in around. And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, everybody that's professional and retires comes to Florida, So there are just so many things out there of interest. Not only metal detecting. You've got, the fishing, the hunting, all kinds of.
My book on the Northern Plains Indian Wars, that started off as a metal detecting book, and it turned into a history book about all of the conflicts between the Indians and the Army, and it's describing the forts and everything. But it started off as a metal detecting book, and it ended up as a history book with a lot of metal detecting finds in the back of it.
Mm-hmm.
So my target audience was mainly, it's not really here for Florida, but it's for people interested in the Indian Wars in the Northern Plains.
That's a pretty good audience, right, Fred? Because people are interested in history, and most treasure hunters are definitely interested in history. That's all part of the history, correct?
I mean, both my metal detecting books from the Treasure Coast, like I said, the first one took about 3 years. The second one took probably 2 months to write, and just a lot of information in there. And again, my target audience is metal detecting people they want to come to the Treasure Coast and learn how to metal detect, just like Terry's.
Yeah.
I think treasure hunters in general, metal detectors, they like to read, or at least I do anyway. And I think when you learn the history of an area you're hunting, I think it's just going to be a benefit to them. So you guys having the Treasure Coast books are awesome. It looks like Chicago Ron got the question there. We had like 3 or 4 of them go by really quick, but he's asking about the publisher. How did you guys select your publisher?
And you have one that you can refer people to.
Go ahead, Fred. Do you want to start that, or do you want me to?
I can start. Both of us publish through Amazon right now, but my first book I self-published through a company called Blurb, and this is out of San Francisco, and it's very inexpensive. You don't have to order 1,000 books or 100 books even. You can order just a few books. They'll print them for you, and you can take them to the museums or take them to a metal detecting store and try to get them to sell them. And it's more self-publishing where you're doing everything yourself, where it's much easier with Amazon, and people can just order them online with Amazon.
Right. And when you sell it on Amazon, you guys get a fee for selling it, right?
Yeah. There
Yeah,
it goes.
I can explain this. I printed this out, when I hold this up, I can't see it. But if you go into the place to go is Kindle Direct Publishing on your line. If you put that in there, you'll come up with this page here. And it's a manage your KDP account. It's KDP is Kindle and it's part of Amazon. Mm-hmm. And they will talk you through everything. It's if you got a question, they're there to help. I had a lot of outside help in that, but this was easy. And they publish your book. They do everything, and it costs you nothing, absolutely nothing. You put it in, and then when they sell it, your book is sold worldwide. I was kind of getting ready for this presentation, and I was looking up some stuff, and I didn't even know this. They give you a graph of where your books sell, and I was really surprised. My graph, 90% of my books sell in the United States, and then 5% or 6% sell in Canada, 2% in Australia, and 2% in other countries. So your books are displayed worldwide. And I went through, trying to get organized for this thing. And I was going through, and people will write reviews on your books and that. And I had a review on my first book, Detecting the Treasure Coast, from a guy from Germany, and it was written in German. So I don't know if they had somebody translate the book or it doesn't. But here's an example. This is the best month that I've ever had, not this month. And what they do is I get a commission on every book that sells. And I open up an account, and they deposit me right in my account. This month, I've sold 163 books. My commission this month, this is the best month, right now is it says $909, but it's higher than that today, And that goes directly into an account. So whether I'm 1 month behind, so I will get this not at the end of this month, but I'll get it next month. And the account, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's really easy, and it's fun. I mean, it just, for a guy out of Frazee, Minnesota, 1,300 people having a book that sells all over the world. Well, that's, when I think about it, it's really an ego buster.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
And it's easy. It's just so easy, really.
On the other hand, selling, it's like Mars Metal Detector selling our books, and it's like the local museums. Our books are the best sellers in the local museums. I've got 3 checks I've got to deposit, one from each museum and one from Mars Metal Detectors for selling my books. So I'm having a good month this month too.
Yeah,
hey, I'd watch that check for Mars Metal Detector.
To me, it here, because I have so many people ask about the Treasure Coast, and both of your books are excellent, and I like the format. How did you guys, and that is one of our questions, how did you guys decide what size to make your book?
I followed a lot of the books in this style for metal detecting and treasure hunting are a 6x9. So I kind of followed that format. And if you're going to start a book, you want to start writing it for that size and not create it bigger than have to reformat it later on. Terry?
Yeah, I do it, the same thing. I do it in Word, and so I can just move it over. Actually, what I do is copy and paste. And when you get it all done, and I'll have it all done, and then I'll move things around, and you just got to be satisfied yourself, and then the formatting it is very important. My very first book that I wrote was Detecting the Treasure Coast, and it's really been a very popular book. 201 pages. So I decided to do it in color, and Fred is the one that really worked this out for me. He made the margins narrower. He made the pictures are the same pictures, but he actually, he calls wraparound the words around the picture, so it isn't just a picture and then a blank space. And actually the same book with everything in it. Fred was able to reduce that book down to 141 pages. In color.
Right there.
This is an example here. This is called text wrapping, where you actually wrap the text around the picture, and it saves so much room when you're creating a book. So that would be text wrapping right there.
Very interesting.
Terry, did you put those pictures in there in Word? Is that how you did that?
You have to do it when you download them. It's got to be in what is it, Fred?
you've got a JPEG or a PNG picture that you're adding to the Word document.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's got to be a PDF file when you put it in there. So I do the work in Word, and then I convert it to PDF when I upload it.
Okay, now I have a quick question. If you were, let's say, when you're deciding to write a book and how you're going to format it, and you wanted to talk about the size, wouldn't it make a difference whether it's going to be a hardback or a paperback on the size of the book? Am I correct in that?
I think you probably are. The thing about it is one of the things that you have to worry about is cost. That's why I stayed away from color for so long. It was so much more expensive. And to print a 201-page book in color, it would have I'd had to sell the books for like $25 a piece to just, to come out. And after Fred did his magic, I can sell them for $20, and it's the exactly same book, and it's in color. And it's just unreal what a difference that makes. It's just unbelievable.
It's just a matter of cost going to a hard copy rather than the paperback version. It's
Okay.
Who will buy it? Are people willing to pay the extra money to buy the hardback book?
Right. Well, I was just thinking because of, a lot of the real cool color photos, they might want to use it as a coffee table book, for instance. But we do have a question from Joe 4077. You see it, Philip?
Yeah, it says, who sets the price of your books?
We do.
When you upload it to Amazon will tell you how much it costs to be printed. And then you have to throw in your postage. And your postage is quite high. It really is. And so when you don't really know until you order something what it's going to cost you to have it shipped to you. So, I determine it. Fred determines his cost. And, it just depends on what they come up, you don't know ahead of time. You get it done before you.
Cool.
Yeah, so we had a pile of questions go by here real quick, and one of them was to ask you guys what your next book is going to be, and I think that was from Florida Metal Detecting.
Yeah, that was a couple other people asked that one too.
Yes,
I'll answer that one if I can, Fred. My next book, I was a police officer that was my career for a brief set. I was up in Canada, flying airplanes up there, but and it's long enough back now that the statute of limitations is up. So I can tell my story, but I had a very colorful career, and my next book is going to be on my police experiences.
And my next book is going to be a follow-up to the Indian Wars because I've done a lot more research. I make these wonderful trips every year up to North Dakota, but I go through Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, and just learn the history and visit the forts and really go on some wonderful adventures. So my next book is going to be a follow-up to that one.
Any timeline for us?
Later this year when I'll be up there into September. So when there's a couple of places I have to go and take pictures, but as soon as that, so I'll try and get it out by the end of the year.
Time for Christmas.
Yeah, and Fred, when he makes his trips now, he meets a lot of people and he does his research. When you pick up Fred's book, you're getting the real thing. He's has a thing he's called the real deal, but it's a real thing. I mean, he knows what he's talking about. I compliment you, Fred.
Thank you, Terry. That's
I
very rare.
I want to be up just like you.
When you grow up, you should,
But one of the things, we were talking about color and stuff. I published all three of my books in color, and Terry's first book was black and white, and we've made that into a color book, and that's out. That's out right now, right, Terry? That book?
Well, yeah, it's available right now. I won't get mine until next week, but when the only complaint that I went through when people write a comment on the book, the only complaint, he said it would be so much better in color when I was looking it up the other night. And now we've got the color. And I will never print another book in black and white. The color makes such a difference.
Well, especially on the subject matter that, of y'all's books, when you're looking at relics and in Terry's case, when he's talking about the orange sand in black and white, there's no definition. People don't say, I don't get that. But now when it's in color, they go, oh yeah, now I know exactly what to look for. So it does, it makes good sense.
Yeah, and I think the color in Fred's books, The Real Deal, color everything, the parking lots, everything. They can see, they can visualize how it'll look when they're walking in there. So
Yeah, I think that's important too, Phil. A very good point.
Everything in color, it just makes a world of difference, and it's not that much more expensive to do that. The way
No, that's your orange sand. That's what And in black and white, you don't know what you're looking for.
Okay, we got a quick question here from Tim Anderson. I understand that your books are about the Treasure Coast. Can your books and the information in them be used at other beaches besides the Treasure Coast?
That's a very good question. Yes, it is. I've got comments from the West Coast, comments from up New York and that stuff. The Treasure Coast is just a short, 30-mile stretch of beach. And, I'm talking about that, but it applies all over. And so does Fred's.
Yeah, all your hunting recommendations and everything there, all the same thing. Looking for the low spots, the bowls, whatnot. That's everywhere. You want to find
another important thing is the moon phase. People don't think about that, but when you have a full moon or a new moon twice a month, you get these huge tides, and the plus tides and the minus tides. It makes such a difference. And when we get them here at the Treasure Coast, they're getting them every place else also.
Yeah,
it makes a huge difference.
Sure.
Yeah, all the same everywhere, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we've got let's talk a little bit about, because we've covered it a little bit, about the artwork in the books. Now, would you say, one of the big questions about artwork, is it yours or is it somebody else's? Do you have permission? Let's cover that a little bit, because we don't want somebody to get in trouble,
Well, I use in my books, I've been using artwork by a gentleman named James Flood. And if you look at the covers, the actual covers on my books, he does the paintings, and they're just absolutely fabulous paintings that he does. And I use a lot of his artwork as much as I can, and with his permission. And in the back of the book, I give him the credit for doing the artwork.
So, and what you're saying then, Fred, actually, for people that are maybe aspiring authors, is make sure you got your permissions. It's kind of like metal detecting. You just don't go and walk on somebody's property and metal detect. You got to get your permissions. So it's basically the same thing.
Correct. Yeah.
Just don't go putting somebody else's pictures in your book because you like the picture without permission. And you should always give them credit for that, correct?
One of the things Terry and I do is we take a lot of our own pictures, and then we'll enhance them. We'll make them look better and do whatever we can to make them look the best for the book. But we'll take our own pictures and use our own pictures. If you don't have the pictures of the subject, you can go online and you can buy a picture and use that. And so like Shutterfly, I think it's called, but there's sites online that you can go and actually buy a picture of a certain subject if you need a picture and you don't have one.
Right.
I've used pictures from friends of mine and asked permission. I've always had permission. But like, say, if you go into Wikipedia, you're looking up some item and you go online to do the research, be sure to put in there that if you quote Wikipedia, put in there that this come from, that this particular article or something like that. Give them credit, and then you're okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Pardon me?
Take it away.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the color photographs. Now, you guys just using what type of camera and stuff are you using for your pictures?
A lot of mine is done with my phone.
With your iPhone?
I don't have an iPhone. I've got the cheapest one you can get out there, but they take great pictures.
I have an iPhone and I've taken pictures with those. If I'm at the beach and I see something that I need in the book from the beach, I'll use the iPhone. Otherwise, I've got a really nice Canon camera that I take with me on my trips, and to get some really high definition, good pictures and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a Canon also, and it takes great pictures.
And it's a matter of learning how to improve the pictures, and if the lighting isn't quite perfect or the color isn't perfect, you can fix a lot of that stuff on your laptop.
Right. Now, are you using image editing software on your laptop?
Yeah.
Well, like
I've got to tell a story here real quick. I have the ranger down at the museum about 6 or 7 years ago uploaded a program on mine where I can adjust my pictures in that, and I've been using this program all the time until about a week ago. Fred came over and he says, "Well, it's right on the front page of your computer. You just go up the top, you click on this little button, and it comes up, and you can adjust your pictures right on the computer, right there in front." And I mean, it's so easy, And I, worked my butt off just because I didn't know it was there.
I showed him how to use that just to save me time.
and talk to your friends. I mean, you've got people out there that they have a hobby of they like to take pictures and that stuff, and they're more than they're honored to show give you some pictures and get, like I did, get a group of guys together and gals and ask for their help, include them, and it makes such a difference.
Let's talk a little bit about the covers and the spine, the front and back covers, that kind of stuff, because that's very important. The cover of the book needs to grab their attention, correct?
That's correct, and that actually is my very hardest part. I have a fellow that does a great job on the covers, and I would say on this last book, I used the exact same cover that I used on my first book. Exactly. The only thing, it just put color edition on the bottom, and I think it took me 2 weeks to get that right. You have to have the spine the right size, and you have to have it centered, and that's where your proofs come in. And what happened with me, what the big problem is on the covers, it's a pretty big file. I don't know how many megs it's got to be, but it's a big file. And the guy couldn't send it to me. It was just too big. He could do it in like Dropbox or something like that, but he happens to be in the trailer park right now. So I went down with a flash drive and just had him put the new cover in the flash drive. And I think what we did is we pulled the flash drive out too soon or something. And the flash drive, the size of the file in the flash drive was smaller than the size on the computer. And when we figured out that, I uploaded it that night. He said he got 72 hours to review it. Got up the next morning, he said, "Your book has been published." I mean, it just.
So with mine, I use the paintings by James Flood. He's a marine artist, so he does the shipwreck, the Florida Treasure Coast books. But what happened with this book right here is I designed this myself, and what I did was I brought a buffalo skull back from Texas. I painted it myself, decorated it, and I put a black piece of fabric on a bed in my spare bedroom, threw some bullets down, and took a picture of it, and with my good camera, and that's how I got the cover for this book. And
that was
there's the backside of it too, and so I'll come up with pictures, and I've had people help me, but I've pretty much figured out how to do the covers and stuff myself now.
Yeah.
Well, when we talk about spine and that kind of stuff, maybe you better illustrate for people what the spine is and the purpose and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, here's the spine. The spine is in the backside, the width, thickness of that right there. And on this one, see, I've got a little bit of an overlap. And then look at the bottom of the book. It's got a white line, It's not centered. And that's the kind of stuff that'll drive you crazy. But if I have problems, what I do is I just call Fred, and it works pretty good.
Yeah, these books are perfect bound. So I just I think you look very professional.
I mentioned about the spelling, the punctuation, the spelling in there. I'm terrible at it, But what I do is I order the proofs, and then I give 4 of these proofs to friends of mine, and they go through, and I take all 4 books, I take all their corrections, and I did that up until Jim McLaughlin. Now the last one, I just count on Jim because he just don't make mistakes. And I send it in, I get the proof, I give the proof to Jim, and he makes all the corrections. See, the problem is when you're writing it, you get kind of tired, and you'll see things that aren't there.
Right.
The word like I said which the other day, and I spelled went, or the vice versa. And my eyes seen what I wanted, but it wasn't right.
So what I do is I'll write a chapter of a book, then I plug it into a program called Grammarly, and you have to pay for that so much a year. But I use that, and I'll go through the Grammarly, and it corrects all the grammar, and then I'll put the book together, and then I still have somebody check and make sure it's what I wanted to say, and you still miss stuff. So you still need people like Jim to read your book and go through it.
Okay, cool. We have a quick question. You see that, Phil?
Yeah, we got a question from Tim Anderson, and he's asking to Terry and Fred, I'm in Arizona, so it's harder for things for me to get. I'd like to get a hard copy autographed books. Any idea where I can get my hands on them? Well, I have them here in the store. I have most of them signed by Terry. I don't think you signed mine, buddy.
Oh, I apologize, but if somebody would like an autograph book, I can certainly
get that to them for sure.
I can certainly take care of that and autograph it right to them. And Terry does the same thing.
Yes, I usually get them signed, but I guess I forgot to tell you to sign them, Fred. But the next order I have in the shop here, we'll get them signed for sure.
Absolutely.
But
Yes.
let's make sure Tim understands these are not hardback books.
Oh, that's right. They're perfect bound. They're not a hard. I guess a hardback book.
They're a soft cover. Is that what they call it, Fred?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's called perfect binding. The way that it's put together, it's a very nice book, very professionally.
Okay, let's take a quickie, and we're going to give away some books tonight from Terry and Fred. And so, how many you want to give away? One apiece?
2 each.
2 each?
2 each.
Okay, so we'll have basically we'll have 4 winners. So this is what you're going to put in the chat to be entered to win. Just as I have it there. #publish. That's what you put in the chat to win the book. And some of you already have some of their books. So when you and it's going to be autographed. We promise you that. So when you are the winner, then when you send me your email, you need to put the book that you want. Okay. And if you want to wait for Terry's book, The Treasure Coast in Color, it'll just be, maybe a week or so, but then you'll get that and it'll be autographed to you by Terry. And Fred's books will be autographed to you by Fred. Now that's going to be a collector's item. So and just keep that in mind.
Yeah, because it's just a matter of time. Both of us are going to be rich. We're going to hit it out there in the Treasure Coast.
That's right.
All right. Hey, listen, we had a comment since we do have 2 famous treasure hunters on the show here. This is from Joe 4077. He said, I noticed that the onshore winds always seem to negate the moon tides, at least when I go out. I know that may not always be the case, but that does happen a lot, doesn't it?
The onshore winds, well, if you listen to the news or listen to the forecast net, they'll talk about riptides. And when they talk about riptides, that's caused by onshore wind coming in. And what the wind kind of comes in and funnels out and forms what I call a bowl. And that bowl is, if you look for fishermen, you'll see a fisherman in front of these riptides all the time because it's eroding the beach, and it's taking nourishment out. The little fish are eating that, and the big fish are eating the little fish. So, and these can happen any time of the month. The thing is that you know, I can go check 5 or 6 beaches and see nothing, and walk around a corner and there's a great big bull. You know, there's always some place that produces. You just have to be willing to move around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
But the onshore winds, they do negate the low tide because it's pushing the water up onto the beach. And like Terry said, it's got to go down somewhere, and that's where you get those rip tides.
yeah, that's very true. I noticed that here in Tampa Bay also. A lot of times you'll have a real negative tide, but then the winds go pushing the water in, so it kind of negates it. Hey, Fred, this is a question from Tom Becker for you, and he says, Fred, I see you have 2 real deal books, one with the ship and one with the, I guess both of them have a ship. What's the difference? I'm having a hard time reading that for some reason. My light must not be good tonight. Oh, I see you have 2 real deal books, one with the ship and one with the animal head plus the real deal too. What's the difference?
Okay, so they're all the real. So I'm doing a series of books called The Real Deal, The Real Deal, and so I've got The Real Deal Part 1, which was my first book, and then I wanted to do a follow-up book, which is Real Deal Part 2, and so this one has more information on equipment and tides, and there's even a chapter on young Terry Shannon in that book. If you want to learn about Terry
It's
Shannon,
a history lesson in itself, right there.
it's worth buying just to get the dirt on Terry.
I tell you, Fred was giving a presentation at the McClarty Museum, and I went down to hear him. This was before I really knew Fred. And he gave a great presentation, and he got all done. He thanked the people, said he hoped that they enjoyed his presentation, and if they liked it, his name was Fred Banky. If they didn't like it, he was Terry Shannon. You know, and that's how the friendship began. And this year, we got into stuff that you can't believe. We had, I think, at least 3 or 4, I know at least 3, probably 4 occasions where we just done unbelievable stuff. Can I show you real quick what Fred made for me? Fred made a display case. Can I give you a quick peek of that?
Sure.
Go right ahead.
Can you see it?
Yeah, it looks great.
We got into it, and it was just, you know, I went out last night for about 2 hours, and I bet you I dug 50 coins in that 2-hour period in one gold earring. And it was an area maybe 20 yards wide, and the rest of the beach was nothing. It was just that one low spot where I was able to get stuff. So you have to be able to move around. They got a saying, shoot and scoop. You know, if you don't find anything, scoop.
Yep. Let's go. Well, let's give
So
some stuff away.
just to answer that question real quick. So this book here is it's all about the Indian Wars, but what in the back of the book it's got a whole big chapter on the finds from the Indian Wars, which is bullets and military buttons and all kinds of stuff like that. So that was just to answer that guy's question.
Oh, very good. They're all fantastic books.
Yeah.
And all my in-laws, my daughter-in-laws, want to say they're hinting to me. Christmas is coming. I think they'd like those books. So I'll be sending y'all a check. Anyways, let's go and let's see. Can we do a little giveaway action here?
Let's do
You
it.
ready, Phil?
I'm ready. Let's see it.
I know you are always ready for this. You
I
like
love
this.
this. This is my favorite part of it.
I know. Okay, we'll do 4 winners. And the first winner is
Ricky
Ricky T. Ricky T.
I know that guy.
Yeah, we do too. So let's draw again.
I should have put my name in there.
Chicago. I tell you what, he sucks. I don't care what anybody says. He's a woolly booger.
Oh, goodness. And here comes number 3.
Yeah. Florida metal
Florida
detecting.
metal detector.
And now we go with the last one. Keegan. Everybody knows who won now? Cool.
Congratulations, everybody.
Yes, indeed. So I'm going to put up the
Keegan.
email. That's what you do. You send your name, address, and phone number and the book that you want to treasuretalkshow@gmail.com. And please include the book that you want. And it will be autographed by Terry and it'll be autographed by Fred. So, whichever ones you want, we're good. So we got 4 winners. So we're going to have 2 and 2. So the first 2 win Terry's books. The second 2 win Fred's books. That's how we'll do it. So make sure that you put the book that you want. The first 2 names that were drawn, you get one of Terry's books. Include that in the email that you want, and it'll be autographed to you. The second 2, get one of Fred's books, whichever one you want, and it'll be autographed to you. So make sure you put that in the email. Get it to me. I'll get it to them. So we'll be good to go. All righty. I'll leave that up for just a while. And carry on, Philip.
Yeah, it looks like I got a question from the Key Day Kid about some diggers. Do I want gold or blue and silver? I think I want some of both of them, but I'll have to call you tomorrow. That's the hand digger. That's one of these guys. He's asking me about.
Yes, Rick T. Yes, email after the show. That's fine. I know all you folks out there that won, you can email after the show. Just within the next day. Make sure we get the email. I'll make sure that it gets to them, and you get your signed autographed books.
And then someone wants to gift their book to the Digging Canuck. That's a nice thing to do. Yes, that would be very nice.
Who wants to do that?
The Florida metal detecting. Just
okay.
All they got to do, I guess, is send her name and info. But I'm hearing a lot of ringing. I hope that's.
I'm hearing some bell. Somebody's text must be going off.
I hope
so. I guess you're getting a book, Canuck. So you know the drill.
Yes, she does. All righty. So let's get back to it. With your books, both of you guys, what is the best-selling book been for you, and how many million have you printed?
I don't know. I tried to look it up, but the bestseller has been my first book, Detecting the Treasure Coast. And I expect it to really, in color, it's going to take off. It just, the only complaint that I've gotten about it, other than not being in color originally, is that I say too much, And it's just fun. Sharing is a lot of fun. And I've made a lot of friends because of it. It's been a wonderful experience.
Yeah, and Fred, that's your bestseller?
My first book has been my bestseller, and I've sold hundreds just at the museums. It's been fantastic selling at the museums and with you guys at Myers Metal Detecting too. And
we just love both of your books. I guess this question kind of relates to the bottom one on the list. How do you get paid? And don't forget to pay your taxes. And then Ricky T's got the question there. Fred, can you deduct your travel, gas, food, hotel expenses as a business expense for your books?
Well, I try. I try, and that's up to my tax lady. I have somebody do my taxes, and you can deduct things. Yes, if it's not a hobby writing a book, and you prove it's not a hobby, then yes, there's things you can deduct. You can deduct metal detectors. You can deduct your travel expenses and stuff like that too. So
I guess you would have to get with your tax guy and or gal and make sure you have the documentation. But I would think that those were all expenses.
Yeah, even your computer, you need it. I mean, it's stuff that so. I have a tax man too, and the big thing is just keeping the records, which
Yeah,
I'm very for it. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have documentation for everything. But yeah, we got another question up from Shannon Bordner, and she's asking, what is each of your favorite book that you've written so far and why?
Go ahead, Terry.
Okay, I think the best-selling book I have is Detecting the Treasure Coast. That was my very first one. But the last one, Treasure Coast Treasures, I'm talking about the stuff that I found that's in color. And I think I had more fun writing that than anything because I was just reliving every one of those little adventures that I was out there. And it's my latest book, but it was just a fun book to write. It really was.
My favorite book to write was my original book. It was just so exciting to get all that information together and put that together, and just all the research that went into it and everything. I spent a lot of time doing the research. Same with the Indian Wars books, and getting as much information as possible. So, but I did enjoy that book so much.
And really, everyone that's listening tonight has got one or two books in them. They can do it. The hardest thing is to just get started, and just tell your story. And, if you're not happy with it, make changes later down the line. Stuff comes to you. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and have a new idea or something like that. You just can't sit down and pour out a good book. It comes to you as you're writing along and talking to other people and experiencing things.
Yeah.
Did you see this question, Phil?
Yeah, this is from Bill Crow, and he's saying, Fred, does your book on the Indians up north being brought up to Oklahoma?
I haven't covered Oklahoma yet. I've covered from Colorado north. Well, no, as far as south, I did have a chapter on Fort Hays in Kansas City because of the Buffalo soldiers were at Fort Hays, and they moved up to up into North Dakota. But I haven't gotten into Oklahoma.
Okay. Hey, and this question from Tim Anderson. I think you might have asked this earlier, and I didn't get to ask it, but I see it again. Quick question for Terry and Fred. What were their top 3 metal detectors? Could you refer to someone? I guess the top 3 detectors you would refer.
Go ahead, Terry.
Okay, I'm using the Deus on the beach, the Deus 2. I'm real happy with it because it's light. I've had 5 surgeries, 3 in my right arm, and I'm very happy with it. And the Legend, the Legend is a heck of a metal detector, and at half the cost, it'll do everything that, I'm really sold on the Legend also. And then I guess I do not have the Matacore, the Mindland Matacore. I've heard nothing bad about it. I've heard all good things, but so I think those would be the 3 that I would list.
My 3 are, I really use the Legend a lot, and I like it, especially up in North Dakota with all the tin and the materials in the ground. It's really good for telling the different metals and the bullets and the buttons coming out. I've also have a Manacore and an Equinox 800.
Okay, awesome. Well, it looks like our hour is gone, Jeff.
It is gone. It was an interesting show, I believe.
Yes, it was. It was unbelievable.
Well, I want to thank everybody out there, and I want to thank Jeff and you, Phil. It was really an honor to be on your show. It really is.
I'd like to thank Jeff, Phil, and Jocelyn. She does a lot of work for this too. So let's
in the background, and nobody recognizes her.
Exactly. So let's recognize Jocelyn and
I'm waving to her.
And thank you everybody that's bought our books or won one of our books. But thank you everybody.
Yes, I love your books. So, folks, if you didn't win tonight, of course you can get them here in the shop, or you could do them on Amazon with Fred and Terry for sure. But we've got them here in stock too to go.
And they're autographed. You get it on Amazon, it's probably not going to be autographed. You get it at Myers Metal Detectors.
Yeah, it's going to be autographed for sure.
Will be autographed. And we had a mention a little earlier that somebody said, Phil, when you write a book, The title of the book should be, If Phil Doesn't Have It in Stock, You Don't Need It.
I saw that, Jeff. So
I think you should write, I owe it all to Jocelyn.
yes, now you're making her real happy tonight. Well, that is true. It was her idea for this to open a metal detector business because she said I was addicted to it and I was going to spend all of her money buying metal detectors. So that's funny.
Yes.
And then also was her idea to come up with the show here, and I got my buddy Jeff here to help me with it, and it's just gone gangbusters, hasn't it, Jeff?
Yeah, we got in a couple of weeks, will be 5 years.
5 years. That's incredible. Oh my
I
goodness.
know.
We're gonna have to do a special show, Jeff.
Yes, we probably will. We probably will. It's been a run. We could probably write a book about that, but
Yes, we should.
yeah.
Okay,
Well, I'll send you some material and you write.
there you go.
Anyways,
Spare
thanks
time.
everybody for watching. Now, next week, it's going to be another really interesting show. As you know, we've been talking about, we got some proprietary items in stock or coming in the next couple of days.
Yes.
For the Treasure Talk Pro Sifter Titanium. That is our scoop made exclusively for Treasure Talk. And we are having made by Steve's Detector Rods, the Myers Pro Handle. I won't tell you what, that sucker is sturdy.
It
And you
is.
can't break that one. And we'll have that one next week to show you as when Steve is here.
Yes, for sure.
Is that a two-piece shaft?
This one is.
And there's a
That's
travel
awesome.
shaft too, yeah.
This is a two-piece.
And I'll be needing that travel shaft because I'm going to hunt with the woolly booger in England next year on the beach.
Awesome.
So
Well, guys, thank you for sure. Thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you, guys. And I think we're about out of here, aren't we, Jeff?
yep, grammar time. Moonlight Graham says to save him a titanium scoop, Treasure Talk Pro Sifter Titanium, and the travel handle.
We got it. We'll do
Put
it.
it back for him. So we're out of here.
All right.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks,
God
Terry.
bless.
Thanks, Fred. Always a pleasure. I'll get those emails to you as soon as I can. Thanks, Philip. Tell Jocelyn, we thank you, Jocelyn.
We do.
I'll get you some
Yes,
ice cream.
Jocelyn, that's it. Thumbs up for Jocelyn.
That's right. That's right. We all know where our bread is buttered.
Absolutely.
All right.
We
Thanks,
end?
everybody. Yeah, Fred skated.
Okay.
So thanks, everybody. Happy hunting and dig deeper. And remember, if Phil doesn't have it in stock, you don't need it.
Don't need it.
Good night, everybody.
We'll
Take
see
care,
you guys.
buddy.